Tony, thanks for joining me today. We've been friends for a while and acquaintances for a longer while. I first met you when you showed up at the Dream Center over a decade ago.
Oh, that was so long ago.
So let's just start talking about you and tell us a little bit of how you got there, and then we'll kind of backtrack.
Yeah, so my wife and I were dating at the time, and it was kind of like I went to a different church. One weekend we went to the church I was attending, and then we went to church there at New Life, and I saw your pretty face with Kristen on the screen. It was in December, and y'all were talking about this Christmas mall thing, and I'm like, what is this? I'd like to be a part of it. Do you know them? So on the way home, Shannon had Kristen's number, and we text, and I was like, hey, I want to volunteer. Of course, I got to go on, volunteer and do all that, and that's how I showed up to do security. My first Christmas mall at the Little Rock Dream Center. I think it was 2010-11, and that's how it all started.
And that Christmas mall, you actually got to stop shoplifters.
Yes.
So we were giving everything away from free.
Free.
And we still had people stealing.
Yeah, I remember that there. It's totally different now, but there's a door that people came in and went out a different door, and I was standing by that door, and people were trying to come in that door, and I was like, hey, you can't come in this door, and I was like, what's going on here? I was just trying to volunteer.
So, and then that led you into, you were in between jobs.
Yes.
And you actually started volunteering with our boys.
Yeah, so volunteer boys night. We had 2 to 3 volunteers on a Tuesday, and you had like 60 kids showing up, and then, you know, the 3rd grade brother wants to play basketball with the brothers in 12th grade and didn't work, so we had to figure out what do we do with that. So then we moved, okay, we're going to have kindergarten through 5th on Tuesday, and then 6th through high school on Wednesday, and we kind of had to split it up because we had so many guys coming just to come hang out and play dodgeball and basketball and everything. So it's changed since then. It's a little bit more structured now.
Way more structured.
Way more structured.
When you hire someone that knows what they're doing versus
yeah.
having me do something,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
changes things.
That's right. That's good. That's good.
So, but tell us a little bit about before that. Where are you from?
So born and raised in North Little Rock. Been in North Little Rock most of my life. Traveled for a little bit, but went to school here in North Little Rock. I have a younger brother that's 4 years younger, and then went to high school, went to college here, went to UCA, played ball at UCA, and then I had to start working, had to be adult, so I started working. So that's kind of where I'm from, and kind of where I grew up here. I grew up here in Arkansas. Left in 91, 92, and then moved back in like 2005 or 6 after traveling all over, learning and managing, and just kind of, it was just me doing my thing. So they always say you come back home, and I did. I was like, oh, once I leave Arkansas, I'm never coming back. And I came back in 2006, and it's been amazing being back, and I enjoy it.
So let's just kind of jump back into your upbringing.
Yes.
Because you're a vital part of a church now, but there was a lot of church hurt as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And part of that was 100% based upon your ethnicity.
Yep.
So kind of tell us a little bit about your mom, your dad, that kind of situation, how it kind of started, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so growing up, my dad was a pilot, so he flew all the time. My brother and I played sports. We went to church here and there, not all the time. So, of course, growing up as a kid, I just thought, well, Dad's busy, so, maybe we're not going. I am biracial. My mother's white. My biological father is black. My stepdad, he adopted me when I was 1. I was raised in an all-white family. My brother's white. So kind of growing up, I didn't really know any difference when I was smaller. I mean, that's my family, So when it came to church, I didn't really know any difference. Not till later years I got older, and my mom and I had some really good conversations. And when you get a little older, then you start having those conversations. You're like, oh, okay. But, here again, that's in the 70s. I'm 48 years old, so back in the 70s and 80s, my mom's going to church, 21, 22. Here I am, little baby, biracial. I'm in the nursery at the church. And then, of course, now we got the fancy numbers pop up. But back then, they come tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you need to come get your baby. One day they wanted my mom to come get me out of the nursery. And then she was like, is something wrong? Is he sick? Is something going on with him? And they just said, you need to come get your baby. She didn't understand. So again, 22, 23-year-old, she's like, what's wrong with my baby? Well, come to find out, because I was biracial, the church that she was attending didn't want me there. I was actually in a nursery that was in a back room, not with all the other kids. I was in a back room. I wasn't crying. I didn't need to be changed. Of course, I didn't find out till, later years. But, it's just sad. I'm probably glad she didn't tell me back then.
Yeah.
It's you think like we have kids. What's wrong with my kid? You got to protect them. And I can see now, like, if I fast forward, I can see that, when I was a teenager, if anybody wanted to come hang out with Tony, they had to come actually knock on my door, and say, hey, can Tony come out? Because my mom was so protective of me, but I didn't know why. This is my family. This is who loves me, loves Tony. This is who I am, so me not knowing that's one of the, because I was biracial, because I'm an interracial kid. My biological father is black. I've met him twice. I met him once when I was 16, 17, because growing up, I knew I was different, but my family loves me. This is who my family is. Growing up 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in that realm, when you think about as a kid, my white friends thought I was white, my black friends thought I was black. It was then, for some reason, 8th, 9th grade it changed and it's just Tony. But then, growing up then, if I got in trouble, I want to know who my dad is. I'd leave a note under my mom's pillow. Who is my real father? Who is my dad? I want to meet him. So one day, I think I was 16, 17, she's like, you want to know who your dad is? Hop in the car. Because at that time, she was really trying to show me that we love you for who you are. She didn't treat me and my brother differently. She tried to raise us to be good people and love people for who they are, not for what they look like. So we went to Little Rock. She pulled up to a house. And she just said, if you want to know who your dad is, you can knock on that door. Man, 16 years old, I was scared. I was like, man, I'm not going up to the door. I didn't know. Hey, so mom drove off. I sat on the curb for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I walked to my best friend's house. And then probably like 5 minutes later, my mom shows up because knew that I went to my, best friend's house. And then we just really started some of those conversations. It was really more of a kind of conversation of who he is, where his family is. So, fast forward a few more years, probably in my 30s, I wanted to really talk to him. I didn't meet him that day, but a year later when I was 17, we went to a park. I said, Mom, I think I'm ready. I played baseball growing up, played sports. He always came to watch me, but I never knew he was there. So we actually went to meet him. And we pulled up. He got out of the car. I got out of the car, and he's like, "Whoa, you're a big boy." And I looked at him, and I was like, "Am I mad? Am I sad? Do I hug him? Do I fight him?" I had overwhelming emotions. Like, this is my biological father, but I'm like 17. He hasn't been around. My dad's at home. That's my dad. So I just kind of sat there, 17 years old, you just kind of sit there, and I didn't have much to say to him. And I was like, all right, Mom, can we go? And she's like, what? And then, we wanted to change phone numbers. I didn't want to have anything to do with it, Then I just kind of went on about my life. I didn't think anything about it. And again, 17, 18, 19, we go through high school and, dating at that time, I'm dating black girls, Asian, white girl. I'm dating, you date as you go through. I didn't look at them for that. It's like, you just date, and I remember a time being in 8th grade that I was dating a young lady, and she was white. And I remember going to their house and sitting down having a conversation with It was myself, it was her, and her parents. And her parents were addressing her, and I'm sitting there and didn't address me, and basically told her, like, so if you date this black man, nobody else is ever going to want you. Nobody's ever going to want to date you. And I'm sitting there, you know, 8th, 9th grade, like, what in the world? You know, I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what not to say. I didn't know what, do I get up? Do I walk out? Do I not? I mean, respectfully, I kind of sat there. I just, you know, I didn't know what to do. I mean, we still dated, you know, but that was kind of some of my first times of like feeling not wanted or know I was different because of the color of my skin. Because when people look at me, they see me as a black man, you know. A biracial child has the best and worst of both worlds, in my opinion, just because from a biracial child raised up in a white family, it's not that my parents tried to say, okay, we want your blackness to be different. It was that my black culture wasn't there a whole lot. So I had to try to find that on my own through my black friends and what does that look like and what should it look like from, hey, I need to go get my hair cut and I want to get faded up, but I don't know where to go because my mom cut my hair the whole, you know, so just learning those small things of culture, just, you know, going to a barbershop and, you know, my skin's different, so I need different kind of lotion and, you know, those small just life skills, learning those. Just really trying to figure and walk through that, you know. Probably when I was 33, you know, we go through high school and, you know, and again, people knew me as Tony then. You know, when I was younger, 6th, 7th, and 8th, I was embarrassed to walk in front of my parents and at the mall or going somewhere. Or, you know, when I was in 6th grade at the PTA meeting, my parents were sitting next to me, and you know, at that time when kids are young, they make fun like, "Oh, that's your parents. That's not your parents." They don't. "Oh, you're a zebra." You know, they like so. When you're in elementary school, it's like that. And then 6th, 7th, and 8th, I'm trying to fill it out and understand what is that. Where do I fit? And then when it comes to, you know, something in the 9th grade just clicked and like, I'm Tony, and those are my parents, and I'm proud of them, and I love them, and they love me, and they're teaching me to be a good man. They're teaching me to treat people well. They're teaching me and my brother at the same time, which my brother's white. They're teaching us to just love and take care of people. Now, were there things that my mom did that I didn't know then? I can look back now and go, oh, that's why she was doing that. You know, friends coming to the door, or how do you act if you know, get in trouble, and yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. And, you know, if you do get stopped by the police officer, here's what you do as being just a good person. She didn't say because you're black and they're going to look at you because you're black, here's how you need to act. Now I know that she was protecting me in her way, what she felt coming up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, raising a biracial child. Super protective and being able to take care of me. You know, 33, 34, I wanted to talk to my dad again. I just felt, there was a movie that came out at the time called Antoine Fisher, and there was a part in the movie when he comes back to the door, you know, to the lady that was beating him on stuff all the time, and just goes, "I'm still standing." And I remember to this day meeting my dad, getting out of the car at 33 years old, after I've moved and done well, and I looked at him and go, I'm still here. With or without you, I'm going to make it. I'm going to love people. I'm going to treat them right. And that was just me learning, like, who in the world is Tony? Who's Tony Phillips? Who am I? You know, because it was so hard for me to really figure out, am I white? Am I black? Well, they say if you're born and there's a percentage of such and such and you're black, what does your birth certificate say? Like, I went through all that and, like, you know, just really trying to figure out and wrap my head around it growing up, especially that 6th through 9th grade. What does that look like? But I just felt very at peace telling him that. You know, the good old firm handshake that my dad taught me, shaking his hand, you know what I'm saying? Look him in the eye when I speak to him. Speak to him with respect. I didn't disrespect him. I just wanted to know that I'm okay. Because that was my black culture that I didn't know about. And there's part of it that I've had to try to learn that, and I'm still learning to this day on culture, my heritage, black culture. What does that look like? What should it look like? You know, but at that time, I walked away, and you know, I didn't feel like, oh, I got to call him. I got to, you know. And he said, hey, well, let's go do lunch. And I said, and I told him, I said, I'm okay. I just need you to see me. I want to look you in the eye and shake your hand and say that I'm fine. I'm okay. My family's taking care of me. My mom's taught me well. My dad's taught me well. And I'm good. And ever since then, it's just like, here's who I am. I'm Tony Phillips. I am a biracial child that was raised in an all-white family. That there's some things that I don't know about my black culture that I've learned and need to learn and continue to learn. There's some things that I don't get right. There's some things that I still want to learn. And then being where I'm at today, being able to share that, my perspective of how I was raised, I still went through those things of racism. You know, I with my wife now, when we first started dating and then started going to dinner, going out to eat and things like that, there's things that I would see that she wouldn't see. She sees them now.
Now, and to point out, your wife is white.
My wife is white, yes.
So, one of the things that's really kind of was always interesting to me, because growing up in that time, there were definitely divisions in the schools.
Oh, yeah.
But once you hit that junior high mark and sports came into play, it's kind of like all of a sudden it went from whites and blacks kind of being segregated to there was this homogeneous pool of athletes.
Yep.
And so you kind of talked about how y'all were out of the church world, and you kind of were out of that for a while and didn't understand until you were older. But talk a little bit about sports, because sports was a very integral part of your life all the way through college. Yep. And then it played kind of a smaller role, and now it's very strong again. So just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so from a sports standpoint, I mean, I think, like you said, when we get to that junior high, high school, then it's sports, then it's team, then it's us working together. You know, when you have a helmet on, you know, you see a helmet, you know. So from my perspective, it was just really working together as a team and helping your teammate out no matter what race they are or what background. Because when you're on the field, you're united, you're one. We're marching in the same direction, we're going the same way. So being able to do that through high school and college, you know, my heart just naturally is really of servant and being able to support. So I just felt myself in kind of being in that role of just bringing people along. And I think that's where people started just looking at me as Tony. And it would take a long time before somebody would say something about my race one way or the other, which to me was good, because that mean they were my friend for who I am, Tony. What they see and what I do is my character, than what I look like or what my background is or whatnot. And once they got to know me, they could. So, you know, so it was really cool just to see sports as I continued, basketball, football, baseball. I had a baseball scholarship. That's where I played at UCA. Was able to do that, and then I had to go to work. You know, the retail world got me, so I was in the retail world for a long time. And then now to kind of circle back where we're at now, my wife and I probably 2010, 11, she was doing boot camps and started doing CrossFit, and then I started doing CrossFit. And at that time, you know, from a health standpoint, being able to take care of myself, you know, one temple, I got to take care of it, is really learning how do I need to take care of myself so I can continue to take care of others. And that's when I started the CrossFit. I mean, I walked into CrossFit wearing a size 44 pant, and I was 287 pounds, and I thought I was okay. You know, I thought, well, I play sports, I do things, and I thought I was okay. I didn't understand what health was, what eating healthy or eating clean, because there's two different things. What should it look like for me? It's different for every person. So I had to wrap my head around that for the last few years. And it's been really, really good to see that transformation. I'm able to walk alongside my wife and us doing it together. We own a gym together, a CrossFit gym. We started it. We've been doing CrossFit 2010, 11. We've been in a CrossFit gym 2014 as owners. And then as we transition, this 2020 has been really different for everybody. A lot of stuff going on, and that racial tension, and what does that look like? we have a lot of people that come into our facility, and we do functional fitness. We want you to move well. We want it to be that best hour that you can just shut everything off, and it's your me time and taking care of yourself. That we've been able to find ourselves in this transition with everything going on with CrossFit and what does it look like, and the owner at the time and some of the comments he made and what does he stand for, and there's a lot of that going on that we just sat down and go, okay, who are we as a Christian-based ran facility that when people come into our facility, they feel loved, they feel welcome. We don't care how much you lift because we want you to move well, and we want to be able to take care of you. So we treat our gym as a life group. It's our life group. It's where people are able to come in and get loved on, not just by us, but by all members in the gym. If somebody's not there, hey Drew hadn't been here and you're a 5:30 guy in the morning. People that come in the morning are dedicated to come in the morning, you know what I'm saying? So if we don't see Drew for a couple of days, somebody's going to text you, hey Drew, what's going on, where are you at? Which we love that. So then it makes us feel like we have been able to foster a community that people feel safe, and people feel like that they can count on each other and be able to do things when it comes to that. So we've been in a transition of changing our actual name. We've used Stronger Together because, when we're a community, what we love about CrossFit and what we loved about it, not only the methodologies behind it to get us to functional fitness of where we're at, but also the community aspect of it. So with everything that went on with CrossFit and, some things and some of their mindset at the owner at the time, we just felt that we didn't want to basically have that name affiliated with us and fly that flag. So what we've came up with, and our members will be involved, that, we pay an affiliate fee every year to use the name CrossFit. Our name is Stronger Together Fitness. We still are functional fitness. There's a lot of things that we're able to do, but we're going to take that affiliate fee, and then based off of our community, how our community feels, we'll be able to donate that to an organization locally that we feel passionate about as a community, not just me or my wife, but what we feel passionate about to be able to help. So we want to make sure anybody feels comfortable coming in our gym. We help a lot of Special Olympics athletes. We train a lot of military, a lot of teachers, a lot of police officers. So when they come in there, they're in a t-shirt and shorts. They're not wearing a uniform. So we're going to be able to take care of them. So we're going to be able to do that as we move forward.
And I think one of the things that I've always loved about you is you're extremely positive. And I tend to lean more towards the negative. So I like to be around positive people because it makes me rethink and realign and all of that. But back in that 2010, 2011, I saw you working with these young men at the time. I mean, some of them second, third grade, and fourth grade, and fifth grade. And just seeing you in that space of, we're going to wrestle, we're going to have fun, there's the picture of you up on my wall with Jamar, which, Jamar's like 6'6", 400 pounds now. Big guy. Actually going to college to wrestle. Yeah. But I just saw you investing in people. And so just kind of talk to me a little bit about that, because I know that, you've worked for 3 extremely large corporations. From being a assistant manager or retail to assistant manager, and then opening stores and doing stuff like that, and growing and building teams and building people. Talk about kind of what you've kind of learned through these life experiences kind of played into that.
Yeah, I think doing that, it feels really good for me. We all have our love language, and it feels good to me to be able to see other people be successful. And what I've been able to learn as I've moved forward through all that is that God has gifted me with the ability to motivate and encourage people in whatever facet to get something done or taken care of, or to even believe in themselves. So it's almost like that coach mentality of being able to coach somebody to be able to, talk to a customer a certain way, or sell something, or lift more weight, or whatever that might look like. That early on, I had to kind of learn what that looked like, because I thought, oh, I'm the boss and my name tag says so, so I'm gonna rule with an iron fist. And I think from the early beginning, I found that wasn't that wasn't going to work. People didn't want to follow. I was, trying to be a dictator. I wasn't leading people and then letting people lead me from that standpoint. So I had to really quickly understand and see how that looks. So then I just kind of like, well, that's my natural personality. So let me try to put that in some type of managerial skill set and be able to learn that. And I've had mentors along the way, and I still have 2 that I talk to on a regular basis that have, treat people like you want to be treated, but then also lead them in a way that challenges them, but also too in a way that empowers them to have some room to wiggle, to learn, to grow. So it's been really cool to be able to see that facet as I moved forward in that realm of leading people and opening stores and doing those type things. To me, it's fun. It's fun to me to see an empty store that we buy, and then next thing you know, to see it full. And the more stuff you bring on me, I thrive more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll have to remember that.
It's a challenge.
Start throwing stuff your way.
There's some stuff on my plate right now, but no. But it's just it actually helps. So then it's empowering the team, and it's us, and it's a we, and it's not a me or an I. And I had to learn that really early in my career, and it went back to that team aspect of, being a team in sports. So now it's a team, so no name tags on. Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to report to somebody or, have to answer to somebody. But when we're in a team and we're marching in the same direction, just like on the football field, we're doing it also in the workforce. So it's got to be the same way. So treating people with respect, finding out what their gifts are, being able to spend time with them and ask questions. We always say active listening, right? To be able to listen more than you speak, because then you'll learn a lot about people, and then you'll be able to put them in their gifting as they move forward. So that's been really fun for me to be able to see that as I move forward, especially even now, being in the retail world, and now I'm on the ministry side, and how can I utilize what I've learned over the years to this side and really find out what that needs to look like or should look like. And I'm still learning each day. You never know, but if you look at my work, what I've had to go through to where he's been able to place me currently now, I mean, it's just a testimony within itself of how good he is to be able to set you up, that I would never thought in a million years I'd work in ministry.
Well, it's crazy because when you came, you had just left Starbucks.
Yep.
And it wasn't exactly what you wanted to be. That process of change,
Yeah.
you were in a total state of kind of mental chaos because you'd never been unemployed your whole life.
Never been unemployed. What do I do? I don't know where to go.
And you had worked your way up to a certain position. Finding another position of that level was difficult. And I remember you were driving the big expedition.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like every day, it was like, hey, I'm not going to be here next Thursday because I got to go to this interview. And it was just like, I don't even remember how long it was.
A year and a half.
A year and a half. I knew it was over a year. It was just like this constant thing. And then during that year and a half, I got to know you. Mm-hmm. And it's like I kept telling my board, I'm like, we want to hire him. We want to hire him. And they go, well, how much would it take? And I told them, they go, oh, we can't do that. It's more than $3.35 an hour. We can't do
there
that.
You go.
It's all this other stuff. And it's so crazy. You took a job at a nonprofit retailer, mm-hmm. And it was just like, okay, I guess I'd kind of give up. But it was on my bucket list for all these years. Yeah. If you look at the spreadsheet that I have all the things I want to accomplish in life, Tony's name was on there. And it was just so crazy how in the world that, in particular, that specific job brought all these new bullet points to what we've launched with CityServe. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like, had you not been in that position, had we brought you on there coaching boys and working with boys and doing all that, this whole ministry that's now reaching thousands and thousands of people a month, and it will be tens of thousands of people a month in the coming month, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily...
Not at all.
You wouldn't have been prepared for it.
I wouldn't have been prepared. I mean, there's things that I do now that it feels like it's just... It comes natural because what I've done for the last 8-9 years is I've learned and been able to do that and, open more stores. I mean, I think I opened 24, 25 stores, and what does that look like and should like, and putting people in place, and how can I be efficient? And it's like, and now all of a sudden I get to do that every day. I get to do that, and it's like, and then we're helping people, and we're equipped in churches, and we're loving on folks. Well, sign me up. I mean, this is glass, almost full. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that look like? I mean, so, yeah, there's going to be days that it's going to be hot outside and cold outside and hot in the warehouse and cold in the warehouse. But, when we really think about it, what we get to do every day with everything that's going on, it's about serving somebody else. I'm going to serve somebody else. I'm going to outserve my wife. I'm going to outserve people around me. My glass is half full. I'm going to live this 24 hours. And me to be able to do that helps me stay positive. Do I get tired? Yes. Is there days it's not good for me? Most definitely. But if I feel like that, what can I do to outserve somebody else? And then it fills my cup back up. I have my quiet time in the morning. I get up at 4:30 every day. And driving from home to the gym, it's quiet time. I get to the gym, open it up. I have worship music on before everybody comes in. So that's my time. How's my day going to go? What does it feel like? What should it look like? Who am I going to try to encourage today? Some days, I need to be encouraged myself, So, but yeah, God set me up, and I've never in a million years thought I'd be doing this at all.
One of the things that you've told me several times is that in your last job, you oversaw a regional retail operation, and you were the guy that every other regional guy always sent you the problems.
Yeah.
And they always say hurting people hurt people. And you coming through a lot of hurt in your life kind of became the solution to that. Can you kind of like share a little bit of, what it means when a hurting person comes to you now, how you can kind of relate better, or how you think it through, or the process, or whatever? Because I think there's a lot of us that we're trying to treat people better.
Yeah.
We're trying to be more considerate or whatever, but those hurts in our lives we've not let go of to really be a solution. We're holding back a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
And I think sometimes we hold back because we don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing to them. I don't, and then sometimes for me, going through that hurt, and now if somebody comes to us, even myself and my wife, I think we always talk about it here is if you don't have a relationship, they're not going to come to you. I have to be genuine. You have to know who I am, my heart, my character. But the only way I can do that is show you that when I'm around you, the questions you ask, the questions you don't ask. So I think that relational part, because somebody's not going to initially come to me until I build that relationship with them. But when they do, that lets me know that they're ready to hear what I have to say, because I'm hurt and I need help, and then I think really it's really listening to really what the root causes of what their pain is, instead of just giving them this surface answer, because we can do that all day. We'll just read more, we'll meditate. If that's not really what is really making you feel that way, So we go back to me, for me to go back and see my birth father, for me is I wanted to be able to let him know that I was okay with or without you, that I'm good. So if somebody comes to me now that has whatever it may be hurting, I got to really listen to what the hurt is and kind of sift through a little bit so I can get a little deeper to know before I even speak. Because sometimes you can speak out of turn because you assume what the issue is, or assume what the problem is, or assume what they need from you, and sometimes they just need to hear you. Or they just want to hear you, they just want you to listen to them talk, I should say. They just want to be able to all right, I just need to talk, and then they feel better,
Yeah.
I had one just last week. Somebody wanted to come to me, and they had, it was around eating and at our gym, and they wanted to be able to speak to me about they know what to do, they know how to do it, but at that time they needed an accountability partner, or they needed somebody to speak life into what they're doing and the why. A lot of people want to know why they're doing that. He knew exactly everything he needed to do, super smart, knows it. But at that time, it was just he needed to hear me say, well, why are you doing that? and he'll talk. Well, how did you feel when you did that? I mean, that was short, small things, but it got him thinking. And over the last 2 weeks, he's in a better place. And it's not that he couldn't do it. It's just that he needed somebody to lean on. Especially now, people need to lean on a lot of people, and sometimes we just need to listen. But we have to be open enough and be present enough. I talk about it all the time, you know. My wife always makes fun, you know, because I love being able to say we need to be present and glass half full, because why not? Why be half empty? My glass needs to be half full. I mean, you know, I always talked about L24, live 24 hours a day. Today's my day to do those things. You know, so why am I worried about tomorrow, what happened yesterday? What can I do today to affect today? You know, and I think if the more that we do that, so if somebody comes to me and just needs to talk, I'm just going to listen. But I think you have to set yourself up being present so people know that you're available. And sometimes people come talk to me and I didn't even think that you know, there's people you affect in your life because somebody's always watching and you don't even know that. So you really have to think about situational awareness. Like, who's around me? What am I speaking? How am I talking? People are listening because somebody might look at you and go, man, I want to talk to him or her. But then you might say something like, oh, never mind. You know, we myself and a gentleman, we do a life group, and we do breakfast every other Thursday because we felt that with guys, it's like, let's go play ball, let's go do something, let's go break bread. But back in the day, if you told me, hey, we're going to go to a house, and it was Young Life back then, and we're going to talk about Jesus, I'm like, I ain't going. Because I didn't know. What was it about? Are they going to ask me a question? I'm not, you know, I don't want to feel uncomfortable. But if it's like, let's go do breakfast or whatever, and then we start talking about how things going for you. Hey, man, you should come to church with me sometime. I think that's a little easier. So being present and really listening a whole lot, I think people come, and then you'll find your way through that.
Well, we're thankful you're here. Thankful that you took some time to share with us. Sorry that I made you cry.
I know, twice.
And I want to. We personally need to shout out to your mother. Thank you for.
Thanks, Mom. I love you.
Making him who he is. One of the things that's always funny is back when you were working with the kids. I think it was every Wednesday. Mm-hmm. You always had to leave at a certain time because you had to go get your hair cut in Hot Springs.
Yep.
Because that was the day you visited your mom every week because she had moved to Hot Springs by that point. So it's funny how even now, all those years that she poured into you still mean the world to you. We thank her for that. But thank you, Tony, for everything you're doing and being here and sharing your heart.
Appreciate it. Thank you.